Bienvenidos a este programa Palabras de Vida. En este programa todos tenemos la oportunidad de escuchar a distintos pastores de nuestro ministerio en el sur de California, trayendo palabras de vida para cada uno de nosotros. Hemos ido conociendo y escuchando a varios pastores de las distintas iglesias de nuestro ministerio. Y en el día de hoy tendremos la oportunidad de escuchar las palabras de vida en la presentación que nos dará el pastor Eduardo Serna. Ya ustedes conocen a la familia Serna por su música, pero quizás ninguno de ustedes le ha escuchado predicar todavía. Hoy tendrán la oportunidad de escucharlo. Él va a traer un tema en inglés para nuestros jóvenes. Así que avisen a sus hijos, avisen a sus nietos, déjenles saber que el tema de hoy será en el idioma inglés. Con ustedes, el pastor Eduardo Serna, en las palabras de vida de este día.
Hi, my name is Pastor Serna, and I'm here today. It's a joy and a privilege to be here with all of you because the Lord has impressed a message upon my heart that I would like to take some time to share with you today. And normally we do things in Spanish, al habla español, pero esta vez vamos a dar un mensaje en el habla inglés para todos los que hablan inglés para poder entender. So we're going to have a message delivered in English. But before doing so, always, what I'd like to do is invite the Holy Spirit to fill our minds, our hearts. As we welcome Him, we want to welcome you, of course. We welcome everyone that's watching through all of our channels, through social media. But we definitely want to invite the Holy Spirit to be our guest of honor as we open up God's Word and share this message. So if you'll join me, if you can kneel where you are, and if not, just kneel in your hearts, and let's have a word of prayer to begin. Father in heaven, we thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity that you give us to be able to come together and take a look at what you have to tell us. Today's subject matter is, in my opinion, a very important one because it talks about the validity of your word. Can we actually trust the Bible to be your word? There's a lot of people out there that say no. But we want to, like you say in your word, we want to come and reason together and look at the evidence that you've given us. So please be with us as we do this now. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So, as you know, we are right now living in serious, to what some people would call frightening times. As we look at what's going on around us, this coronavirus, COVID-19 is everywhere. It looks like there's no escape. As you look, the hospitals are full. Right now, I think we've reached a total of over 255,000 deaths worldwide, and close to about 68,000 in the United States alone. And as we're seeing what's going on, a lot of people are saying, oh man, these are desperate times. We need to reach out to God. We need to spend time in prayer, time searching His Word. We need to spend that time with God. And the question that I would like to begin asking you is, yeah, that sounds really good. Yes, we need to spend time with God. We need to spend time in His Word. But what if you have a little problem with that because you're not sure if the Bible is actually the Word of God? You're not sure if this book is actually God's letter to you. And so this is something that many people ponder. You know, the Bible is not the only writing that has claimed to be divinely inspired. There are many writings out there that people say, oh, they're divinely inspired. You know, we have the writings of Buddha, for example. We have the writings of Muhammad. We have the writings of Confucius, the writings of Gandhi, even the writings of Nostradamus. And I guess the question to be asked is, all of these writings that claim to be divinely inspired, why is it that we should put our faith in the Bible? What's the difference? How do I know that the Bible isn't just another religious book? What separates this book from all others? Well, obviously, everything out there can't be the truth. So before diving right into the Bible, our mentality really should be what we need to be in search of is truth. We need to be able to get through the lies to be able to find truth. But you see, this is the problem. Because in today's day and age, churches abroad and church members are not really searching for truth. You know, it's interesting, but I would venture to say that I could go into pretty much any church on any given weekend. Go to a church, walk in, stop them right in the middle of their worship service, and single-handedly pick anybody out of the congregation and ask them, you sir, you ma'am, can you tell me why you are in this church right now? Why you are in this particular church, within this denomination, under this religion, on today? Why? Oh, you'd get many different answers. Many different answers. Oh, I'm here because I grew up here. This is my church. Some might say, oh, because the pastor preaches beautifully. Some might say, oh, the choir is just heavenly. Others may say, oh, the potluck. You cannot miss the potlucks here. Well, my wife has come here for years. I come with her. My kids really like it. They've got a great program for kids. So many reasons except a biblical one. And, you know, these are things that should really stop and make us think. So many reasons, but yet no one really can back up with the Bible why they worship, where they worship, when they worship, and how they worship. At least the vast majority. And you know, you have to ask yourself questions like this. For example, something else that really throws people off. If there is just one God and there is only one Bible, how about this? Why are there so many different churches? You are aware that according to the World Christian Encyclopedia, there are over 33,000 competing and often contradictory Christian denominations, faiths today worldwide. 33,000 different ways of thinking, different beliefs, different faiths, all under the realm of Christianity. They can't all be right. If there's only one God, only one Bible, how do you have so much division? You see, folks, these are questions that would bother any thinking person. And we can't just pretend that they don't exist because they do exist. Well, let me go ahead and interject a little bit of my own personal story here. My name is Eduardo Serna, and I was actually born and raised in the church. My father is a devout minister. In fact, my father went to school with Pastor Gambetta. They went to school together. And so all my life, I grew up as what they call a PK, a pastor's kid. But I was not just a PK, I was a GK too. Because my grandfather was a minister as well. Actually, my grandfather on both my father and mother's sides were ministers. I've got uncles who are ministers. I've got cousins who are ministers. So I come from a long line of pastors. And you would think that growing up in the church, surrounded by all this positive energy, that I would have just, been a straight arrow from day one. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You see, there came a time where I just started to ask myself certain questions. I started to ask myself questions like, I'd be sitting in church looking around and be like, how do I know that I'm in the right church? How do I know that my church is the true church? Because it says it is. I can go down the street to another denomination and they're going to say that they're the true church. I can go to another religion and they'll say, no, they're the right faith. Everyone says they're the truth. Why should I believe that my church is the true church? Just because I was born and raised in it? And then that took me to ask an even bigger question. How do I know that the Bible is actually the Word of God? I just mentioned to you several other writings that claim to be inspired. Why should I put my faith in the Bible above anything else? And then, of course, this brought me to the ultimate question. How do I know that even God exists? Again, what? Because I was told that from day one? Because my parents believe it? You see, I came to a point in my life where I could not continue being a Christian just because my abuelita was. Just because that's what I was told from day one. And then around this point in my life, I came across an event that really shaped me. I was at work, and somebody came up to me at work and just out of the blue asked me, "You're a Christian, aren't you?" I don't even know why he asked me that, because at that time my life wasn't really reflecting Christianity. But I said, yeah. And then he said, "Do you know why you're a Christian?" I had never been asked that before. And I said the first thing that popped into my mind, because this is the right thing to do? I don't know. Why are you asking me this? Because I'm asking you this because I'm trying to go somewhere. You know why you're a Christian? You are a Christian simply because of the geographical accident that was your birth. That's it. You are a Christian because you were born in a Christian country. Had you been born in China, you'd be a Buddhist. You wouldn't believe in Jesus. Had you been born in the Middle East, you would be with the Muslims. You wouldn't believe in Jesus, you'd believe in Allah. If you were born, and he started pinpointing different places all over the world where, had I been born there, my faith and mentality would be black and white different than what it actually was. Well, this really, really hit me, because I had to acknowledge that this guy was making sense. I thought, wow, that is why. And so I came to a conclusion. I had already been thinking all these questions, and then I get bombarded by this guy. I told my, at the time, girlfriend, today she's my wife, but I told her at the time, I said, "Babe, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I am going to take the Bible and I am going to tear it to shreds in terms of how much I'm going to analyze it, study it, scrutinize it. I'm going to take a magnifying glass and with a fine-tooth comb investigate this book. Because I've got a feeling that this book may just be another religious book." And when I reach that conclusion, I'm done. When I prove that the Bible is just another religious book, and that I've been living and believing what I have been just because that's what I was told from day one, I'm done. I'm leaving the church. Completely. I'm out. I don't care if it breaks my mother's heart. I don't care if my father, now is going to dedicate his life to trying to bring me back. I am done. Because you see, I was sick and tired of not being able to enjoy my life, to really have peace. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. And let's see how many of you out there can relate to this. I could not find peace in my own life because I would come to church and I would sit there. I'd stand there singing, listening, doing whatever, looking around and thinking, man, I can't believe that I'm sitting here. If these people knew where I was last night, that would mess with me. And then I'd also be thinking, and man, if they knew where I was going to be tonight. So I could not experience what church and what God is all about because my conscience was eating at me by having just a few toes in the church and most of me out of the church. But then what happens? I couldn't really enjoy the outside either. Because when I was out there doing the things I knew I shouldn't be doing, at least according to what they told me since day one, I would see all my friends living it up. We're all together. And they've got the bottles in their hands, and they've got the music blasting, and they've got a lot of other things that I'm not even going to get into. And I would notice them, man, they are really comfortable. At least that's the way it looked. And yeah, I tried to play it off too, like I belonged, but down deep inside, I couldn't really enjoy that either because it would eat at me also. Man, what if I am on a one-way trip to hell because of what I'm doing? See, they may not know better, but what if I do? What if the Bible is God's word, and what if God really does exist and all I'm doing is sealing my damnation? So you see what I'm saying? I couldn't find peace either way. And I was sick of it. So that's why I told my girlfriend, I am going to get into this book to prove that it is just another religious book so that way I can leave the church and not feel guilty. I'm going to leave the church feeling like a genius because I figured it out. I'm not going to be just ahí un bobito just following around just because everybody else does. And my girlfriend was always, she's always been a goody two-shoes from day one, the complete opposite of me. I guess that's what they say, opposites attract. But she told me in a very kind and meek and humble way, she said, okay, all right. But let me ask you a question. When you do your investigation, what if, just what if, you actually find evidence that the Bible is, in fact, the only and sole divinely inspired Word of God? What are you going to do then? All right, well, she cornered me. And I said, well, I'm a skeptic, but I'm an honest skeptic. If I do actually come across evidence and proof that there is a God and that the Bible is His Word, well, then I guess I'm going to leave the world completely and dedicate myself to God like I never have before. You see, I wanted to know truth. I was not looking for a get out of jail free card to just not do what I knew I was supposed to do. If I knew for a fact that this is truth and this is what I got to do, my mentality was, hey, I would do it with no problem. My problem is, how do I know this is what I should be doing? How do I know this is truth? So that's what I did. And beloved, let me just tell you, it took not even 3 months of daily, beyond entregado, studying, scrutinizing, analyzing the Bible for me to be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that the Bible is, in fact, God's word. And so what today is about, and the few segments that we'll be having together in English, all I'd like to do is share with you what I discovered. Let me rephrase that. I didn't discover anything. What the Holy Spirit brought me to discover for myself. So, if you'll come with me now, we're going to go on a journey toward truth. All right. Let me begin by asking a question here. Does God expect us to blindly believe everything we hear? Does God make room for questions and reasoning among his people? Well, let's take a look. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18. God tells us, come now and let us, what? Just sit in church and believe everything the pastor says? No, come, let us reason together, saith the Lord. God wants us to use our intellect and reason. Matthew chapter 22, verse 37 says, Jesus said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy, what? Mind. You love God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. God wants thinking people. But again, is this really what is going on in our churches today? Are people really saying, I want to use my intellect and my mind to make sure that what I am listening to, I can reason out and see that it is in fact truth? Remember that I told you that I could go to any church, ask pretty much anyone why they're there, and the vast majority would not be able to give me an answer. But look, 1 Peter 3:15 says, be ready always to give an answer. Be ready when? Always. To give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you. God wants us to be able to give an answer as to what we believe and why. But the sad thing, most people can't do that. Well, what I'm going to share with you, I'm not going to be able to get through all 5 reasons today, but I'd like to give you 5 reasons why we absolutely can trust and believe the Holy Bible to be the only inspired Word of God. Now, the first thing we have to do is we need to ask ourselves a question. And I really want you to think about this question, okay? Speaking to all fellow Christians, fellow believers, and not. And the question is, do you consider the Bible to be truth simply because that's what you've chosen to believe? Or do you choose to believe the Bible because it is in fact the truth? Do you see the difference? There's a difference there. Do you believe the Bible to be true because that's what you believe? Or do you choose to believe in the Bible because you know it's true? Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to break down truth using one of my favorite methods, a method known as apologetics. And no, this does not mean that we're going to apologize for what we believe in. No, apologetics simply means giving evidence for what you believe. Okay? So, we're going to look at truth and break it down. And before doing so, let me kind of start on the outskirts and just let's go through just a few claims that people actually will throw at you right on the onset, because they've been thrown to me, okay? And I'm sure that some of these claims you will have heard before as well. But when it comes to religion, Christianity, God, these are things that are very often thrown by many people when trying to break down truth. Here's the first one. There is no truth. Have you heard that one? There is no truth. That's getting more and more popular with each day. It didn't always used to be like that. But today, I mean, come on. We know the different sayings out there. There is no truth, there's only perception. There are no facts, there is no truth, just data to be manipulated. My truth is what I say. Everything's relative. There is no truth, only points of view. These are very famous sayings out there and getting more popular by the minute. Well, when somebody throws that line at you, there is no truth, I suggest to you that you turn it around on them. Ask them a question. When someone tells you there is no truth, you need to ask a question. What question is that? Is that true? Is it true that there are no truths? I mean, because if it's true that there is no truth, then the claim there is no truth can't be true because there's no truth, even though it claims to be true. Did you catch that? You got to ask them, is that really true? See, that is what we call a self-defeating statement. It does not meet its own standard. A self-defeating statement is saying something like, I don't speak a word of English. Or my brother is an only child. My biological parents never had kids. Okay? Or how about this one? Just a picture's worth 1,000 words. There you go. These are, like I said, self-defeating statements. They do not meet their own standards. Okay? So the next time that somebody asks you or tells you, there are no truths, ask them, is that true? Okay. Here's another one. Ever heard this one? There are no absolutes. There are no absolute truths. Now, what question should you ask somebody that tells you that? There are no absolute truths. Are you absolutely sure? Because again, you see, it's a self-defeating statement. Are you absolutely sure that there are no absolute truths? Because again, like I just told you, it's a absolute claim which is stating there are no absolute truths when it's an absolute truth in and of itself. Now, my favorite one has got to be this one. It's true for you, but not for me. You ever heard that one? It may be true for you, but not for me. What question should you ask this person? When someone tells you it's true for you, but not for me, you need to ask the question, is that true for everybody? Because if it's true for you, but not for me, is true for everybody, then it's true for you, but not for me, can't be true because it's true for everybody. Yeah, I know, you can get intellectual constipation if you think about this long enough. Because, like I said, they are self-defeating statements that do not meet their own standard. It's like saying I don't speak a word of English. Actually, there's a more fun way of handling this one. The next time someone tells you, well, it's true for you, but not for me. Say, really? Go ahead and use that logic with your bank teller next time you're at the bank. You go to the bank, you show up, and you tell the teller, give me $100,000 out of my account. The economy's bad. I need some extra money. And the teller's going to look at you. Ooh, I'm sorry, sir. You only have $9.13. It's no problem. You know how you get the money? Well, that's true for you, but not for me. Give me the $100,000. Think you're going to get the money? No, of course not. Because if it's true that you only have $9.13, then that's true for you, it's true for him or her, it's true for everyone, everywhere, at all times. Because it's true. So, this whole thing about, I've got my truth, you've got your truth. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no such thing as your truth or my truth. There's the truth, and then there's your opinion. Now, what has happened on more than one occasion with me as well is that when I've gone to different churches and I've asked around, speaking of truth, what about the Bible? You believe the Bible to be truth? Most people in church are always going to tell you, yes, I believe the Bible to be true. But when I ask them why do you believe that the Bible is truth? You know the answer that I most commonly get? Because I have faith. because I have faith. Is that really the best answer to give to that question? Because I have faith. That's why the Bible is true. So your faith determines the validity of the Bible? Whether you believe in it or not, that's what makes it true or false? I mean, do you have to believe in something to make it true? Do you have to believe in gravity to stay on the ground? Do people who not believe in gravity just float away? Yeah, look, there's another one. Hey, buddy, just believe and you'll come back down. No, it's not the way it works. But a lot of times people will give an answer like this, and then they hear what I say and they say, oh, wait, so what, are you downplaying faith then? So faith, why does the Bible talk so much about faith then? I would never dare to downplay faith. But see, the thing is, what a lot of people don't catch is that there are two kinds of faith in the Bible. There's faith that, as in faith that Christianity is true, faith that God exists, faith that Jesus rose from the dead. Okay, that's what we mean by apologetics, giving evidence for that which we believe. But then there is belief in, totally different. Believe that is getting the evidence that it is true, and belief in is then taking that truth that you now see and believe because the proof is there, and then trusting in Christ for your salvation, as the scripture says. So the difference between believe that and believe that is intellectual. But belief in is not only intellectual, it's also volitional. So, take my wife, for example. When I met my wife, I gathered up a lot of evidence to prove that she would be an awesome wife. But all the evidence in the world that I could pick up didn't make her my wife. I still had to take that leap of faith and trust in her that she actually would be. And so I had to trust and ask her to be my wife. And in a momentary lapse of judgment, she said yes. But that's a whole different story. But so you see what I'm saying? There's two different kinds of faith. And when the Bible talks about faith, most of the time it's talking about the second one, belief in. Okay? As James, the half-brother of Jesus, even said in the Word. He said, the demons, they believe that God is real, yet they tremble. Why do they tremble? Because they don't believe in, they don't trust him, because they don't want to. The demons know intellectually better than we do that he exists, but they don't choose to put their trust in him because they don't want to. All right. Now, getting into the first reason of the five. 5 reasons that we can totally trust the Bible to being the only inspired Word of God. Number 1, its duration. What do I mean by that? Brethren, the Bible, I want you to know, is one of the oldest books in the world. Okay? No book on the face of the earth has ever endured more what? Than the Holy Bible. Persecution. No book on the face of the earth has endured more persecution than the Bible. For centuries, kings, political leaders, extremists, dictators have all done everything in their power to try to get rid of the Bible. Oh man, we could spend just another hour going into the national and international campaigns that have been set where people have done everything in their power to get rid of the Bible. From going door to door and door to door, searching homes, searching places, just gathering up Bibles, throwing them in piles in the streets, setting them on fire. The things that people did to try to get rid of the Bible is unbelievable. Okay? One particular leader comes to mind, a general by the name of Voltaire. He swore that before death closed his eyes, he was going to be the one that would go down in history as the man responsible for getting rid of the Bible. He made the proclamation from his house. Well, no matter how much people tried, what's interesting is that the Bible obviously is still around. And not only is it still around, it's still the number one bestseller of all time. Why? Why is it that no matter how much time, effort, money, sweat, blood, literal blood, has gone into trying to get rid, you know that there are many books, countless number of books that have been written, and for whatever reason, political reason, religious reason, whatever, they've been banned, they've been gotten rid of, disappeared, you can't find them anymore. But yet, no more power and effort and time and money has gone into trying to get rid of just one book, the Bible. And no one has been able to do it. You know, I mentioned that General Voltaire made that declaration from the balcony of his home, saying that he was going to be the one that went down in history as the man that got rid of the Bible. Well, you know what's interesting is that home where he made that proclamation from today is the printing press for the American Bible Society. I got a sense of humor. I think that's funny. Anyway, why is it that no one has been able to get rid of the Bible, no matter how much power, money, time, effort, sweat, blood has gone into it? Why? Because 1 Peter 1:25, God said it himself. The word of the Lord. What is the word of the Lord? The word of God, the Bible. The word of the Lord endureth for how long? Forever. Psalms 12:6-7. The words of the Lord are pure. Thou shalt keep them, O Lord. Thou shalt preserve them from this generation forever. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 8. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth away, but the word of our God shall stand forever. So, why is it that after thousands of years and all this power that's gone into trying to get rid of the Bible, why has no one been able to get rid of it? Simple. Because God said it's not going to happen. Exactly. That's simple. Number two, it's continuity. It's continuity. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it took approximately 1,500 years to put the Bible together. Okay? You've got exactly 66 different books written in a time span of 1,500 years, approximately, with approximately 40 different authors. Okay? Now, these authors, they came from totally different walks of life. You've got huge differences in ages, occupations, education, locations, experience, etc. You've got, when it comes to the authors of the Bible, you've got from filthy rich authors to dirt poor authors. From physicians to fishermen. From tax collectors to shepherds. From kings to slaves. Both men and women. And yet, and consider this as well, the Bible talks about everything, okay? To give you just a few of the countless things the Bible covers. Character, personality, money, stewardship, sex, relationships, worship, obedience, leadership, management, how to be a good husband, how to be a good wife, how to be a good father, how to be a good mother, a good son, a good daughter, how to be healthy and fit, nutrition, music, work, death, the future, stress, salvation, damnation, basically life. I challenge you to give me one topic under the sun that the Bible does not cover. It covers everything. And yet, you got to consider that from Genesis to Revelation, we're taking a canon that was written in approximately 1,500 years, 66 different books, from Genesis to Revelation, all walks of life, different authors, and yet not one single contradiction in the Bible. Not one. Moses agrees with Paul. Isaiah completely agrees with John. Now, how is it that this can be? You know, I did an experiment once, and ever since that one time, I've been doing it ever since because it beautifully proves the point. We don't have enough people, obviously, today to be able to do this. But when I'm usually giving, a Bible study like this or any kind of a talk, and I'm talking about this, I will ask 7 people to come up out of the audience and to just form a line right here. 7 people that just form a line. And then what I do is I go to the person in the back and I show them a picture. But I only show the person in the back. They face me while the other ones are facing this way. I show them the picture. And the picture is a beautiful picture of nature. You've got trees and grassy hills and a little stream, a little brook running through, birds in the air. A beautiful picture of nature. Then what I do is I tell the person in the back, now, whisper in the ear of the person in front of you what you saw. Describe the picture to the best of your ability. And once you do that, then that person will do the same thing with the following and the following, so on and so on and so on. Without fail, by the time that we get to person number 7 here, I ask, okay, and right when we get to number 7, then I show the picture to the rest of the audience. And then I say, okay, what did you see in the picture? And they'll be like, the picture that was described to me was like skyscrapers. There was a McDonald's on the left. There was a dog that was like eating. A completely different picture than what I told the first person. Without fail. It always happens. Why? I'll tell you why. Because there is not divine inspiration carrying that message from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. So how is it that in approximately 5 minutes, 7 people can't get a story right? But in 1,500 years, 66 different books talking about everything under the sun with approximately 40 different authors from all different walks of life completely agree and harmonize in everything. Why is this the case? Because 2 Timothy 3:16, all scripture is given by inspiration of God. Only one real author. It's the only explanation. All right. Number 3. And we're going to be stuck here on number 3 because number 3 is going to take quite a while. We're not going to finish number 3. We're going to end today's message, but next time we will continue with number 3. But number 3 is the Bible's scientific brilliance long before it was discovered by man. What do I mean by that? Well, let's get into it in the 10 minutes we've got left. Brothers and sisters, I ask you, who is this? Do you know who this is? I'm hoping most of you said George Washington. That would be correct. Who was George Washington? First President of the United States. You are correct. What is this? The Declaration of Independence. What year did this take place? 1776. Now let me ask you this. If I was to tell you, how do you know? How do you know everything you just answered? Did you ever meet George Washington? No. Were you there at the signing of the Declaration of Independence? No. So how do you know these events? How do you know that George Washington is the first president? How do you know that this happened in 1776? Simple. History. History, folks, has always been and will always be the most credible source in discovering and retaining and keeping truth of what happens, what goes on, when, where, and how. Well, the same history that enables you to identify George Washington as the first president and to be able to identify the signing of the Declaration of Independence, that same history is the history we're going to take a look at right now. Let's get into the history books, and I'm going to take right now a historical fact, okay? Putting the Bible completely aside for just a moment. A historical fact. The book of Isaiah, one of the books in the Old Testament, the book of Isaiah was written approximately in the year 700 BC. 700 years before Christ. That has nothing to do with, I didn't take that from the Bible. History documents and states that. Okay? So keep that in mind. The book of Isaiah was written approximately 700 BC. Now, when we see this picture, hopefully everyone is thinking right away, oh, Christopher Columbus discovers America. Now, what year did this happen? 1492. Yes, Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492, but what else happened in 1492? What other discovery did Christopher Columbus make? That the world was round. And what year again did this happen? 1492. Let's check history. 1492 is when Christopher Columbus discovered that the world was round. Now, check this out. A little timeline here for you. 700 BC is when the book of Isaiah is written. Okay? Then, 2,192 years later, it's 1492. And Columbus discovers that the world is round. You follow that? 700 BC, Isaiah is written. Then 2,192 years later, it's 1492, Christopher Columbus discovers the world is round. Now, Isaiah chapter 40, verses 21 and 22, written 2,192 years before 1492. Look what Isaiah says. Have you not known? Have you not heard? Hath it not been told to you from the beginning? It is He, talking about God, that sitteth upon the circle of the earth and the inhabitants thereof. Wow. How is it possible that Isaiah knew that the world was round? Are you guys aware? Please do research on this. In Isaiah's time, everybody believed that the world was flat. And not only did they believe that the world was flat, they believed that it was on some kind of firmament, not floating around in space, but it was flat on some kind of firmament. You walk long enough, you'd fall off. This is what people thought at that time. But yet Isaiah makes this astonishing declaration. So, Christopher Columbus, yes, did in fact discover that the world was round. Only 2,192 years after the Bible said so. Food for thought. What about the book of Job? The book of Job was written approximately 1300 BC, 1,300 years before Christ, even further back than Isaiah. What does Job say in chapter 26, verse 7? He, talking about God, stretches out the north over the empty place and hangeth the earth upon nothing. Again, written 2,792 years before 1492. How on earth, did they have NASA back then? Did they have satellites back then? How on earth could Job, well, we know that Moses wrote the book of Job, but how is it that at that time, this information could be known? There's only one logical explanation. It was divinely revealed by God Himself. What about the book of Psalms? The book of Psalms was written approximately 1000 BC, 1,000 years before Christ. And in Psalms chapter 19, verses 4 through 6, the Bible talks about the movement of the sun. Brethren, for years, people criticized the Bible for talking about the orbiting of the sun. That's one of the reasons why they ridiculed the Bible. The sun doesn't move. Look at it. It stands still, they would say. In 1783, Dr. William Herschel discovered that the sun actually travels at 12.2 miles per second. That's 43,920 miles an hour. Yes, Dr. William Herschel discovered this in 1783, only 1,150 years after the Bible said it. We following a pattern here? Let me ask you this. How do we determine a year? Scientifically, how do we determine a year? The earth circles around the sun one time. Okay? Takes 365 days for that to happen. That's what we call a man-discovered science. Now let me ask you this. How do we determine a month? The moon circles around the earth one time. Another man-discovered science. Takes approximately 30 days for that to happen. How do we determine a week? What scientific evidence do we have? What happens every 7 days that makes a week a week? Absolutely nothing. So where do we get that 7 days is a week from? The Bible says that 7 days makes a week. So see, even atheists who don't believe at all in God believe in something he taught and established, that the week is in fact 7 days. All right. Now I leave you on the to be continued. I was right about to get into the good stuff. Creation versus evolution. Oh, how this has become the hottest of all topics in today's day and age. You know, there was a time where this was not an issue. The vast majority of the world believed and accepted a creator, intelligent design. But today, we've got all kinds of people trying to completely throw that into the wind. In our next segment, we're going to get into creation versus evolution and see what the Bible has to say regarding this. And we're going to see if, in fact, there is tangible, irrefutable evidence that can prove that there is, in fact, an intelligent designer and creator that has given us all that we have. But that will be for next time, because unfortunately we have run out of time today. But I hope and pray that the few minutes we were able to spend here together, the little I was able to show you, was hopefully at least able to get you to just think a little. Make you go, just a little. That maybe, just maybe, there are things that are floating around out there, sayings, mentalities, that don't come from anywhere but Satan, who knowing that his time is short, is trying to do everything in his power to debunk the truth, to get as many people as possible to join with him in the end. But we've just gotten started. We're ending today, but we've just gotten started on this journey. And I encourage you and I invite you to join me next time when we give this segment in English, to be able to continue to look through all of the evidence that God has given us, so that we can go from the apologetic method of believing that and transforming into believing in. Let's have a word of prayer to close. Father in heaven, I thank you for this opportunity that you've given me to be able to share the beautiful truths that you, in your infinite love and mercy, were able to share with me. If there is anyone that's out there watching whom this presentation has in any way just triggered even a hairline fracture of a dent in getting someone to think, maybe there is a God. And maybe, just maybe, the Bible is the only and solely inspired letter that he has given us. And I praise your name for that. And I ask that you continue to be with that individual. Don't let him alone. Don't let him or her rest. Don't give them peace until they can reach full satisfaction in knowing that they have at least taken a look at all the evidence that you provide to then be able to make an informed decision. We thank you again for this opportunity. Please be with all who are suffering under what's going on right now, but we ask above all, let your will be done. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.